Hello, everyone. How are you? Jacqueline Jax here, and I'm so excited because I have a couple of really great announcements to make, as well as some surprises. So, just a few weeks ago, I was speaking to some of my students, and it came upon a conversation that you were having a really hard time being able to obtain all of the really precious watercolors and paper and really fun things that I've been talking about in the courses, as well as just on our Facebook group page, which, by the way, has over 37,000 members right now. So I'm very excited that it's grown so much. And thank you so much for being a part of that. So it occurred to me that if I have a lot of excess in the studio, that I don't mind really shipping out a couple of things here and there. But then over the course of a week, it turned out there were a lot more people that wanted me to do that than I thought. So I really quickly shifted into a different gear and I ordered these really pretty little tins. And what they are is they're little travel tins. I actually have clips coming for them so that we can attach them to a sketchbook, which I thought was really fun because then you could literally attach it to the sketchbook and paint with it and it will just stay there. So I'm actually offering these on my website at jacquelinejax.com filled with paint. And right now I have a really pretty floral bouquet palette that you can order. And then there's also a fall autumn palette, a granulating palette, which is really pretty. And I have a mixing palette, which is like the basic mixing of really beautiful colors that will make every color, so that way, whatever it is that you're really into, whether it be those bouquets or you want to get ready for fall with some really beautiful warm tones, then you will have a palette that you can obtain from me and I will ship it. And then that rolled into something else, which I think is even a better idea. So right now, and you can still do this, I have started a subscription service. And what it is it's a watercolor monthly subscription. So for $26, which is really inexpensive, you will get shipped a monthly watercolor surprise. And that's going to include a pan of one of these tins, right? So that you can put the watercolor in, a featured watercolor. So every single month, I'm going to send you a featured watercolor. So as you can see, I'm already starting to pour everything, but you're going to get one of these pans every single month, as well as tons and tons of dot cards to try out different watercolor. And this way you can always, just in that service, just alone, collect a new color every single month that I absolutely fall in love with and that the group really wants to review. And we're going to go through things like the granulating sets from Schminke. We're going to go through anything that I can send. So right now I'm kind of experimenting. I know that Daniel Smith sets well for to be able to ship. So I'm doing Daniel Smith for sure. I'm doing Schminke because Schminke sets well. I'm experimenting with Mary Blue, and it looks like this one sets well too. So I ordered some Mary Blue colors, which we are going to swatch today. And Sennelier, I haven't gotten it to set yet, but I have been able to get Mission Gold to set, and those are gorgeous colors. So I've also got another surprise. I'm making some colors as well from watercolors that are professional grade, high light fast rating, and are beautiful. So I actually made these 3 colors just the other day, and I'm going to be putting those into the store. I made this one, which is Jack's Violet, which seems to be one of your favorite ones. I love it. It's so pretty. And I made some pastels, which we're a little late in the season for the pastels, but I just think they're so gorgeous. So these are like the baby blue and the cotton candy pink. I am going to make a little like 5 or 6 trio that goes in one of these palettes of the pastels, but I don't know that I will have them all out and ready for fall. It will probably be something that we'll save for like after Christmas, or maybe that you can get at Christmas time. But as far as what I have in the studio, because I'm starting with everything that I have in the studio, plus I ordered a ton of watercolor. I also have Sorrow and I'm going to see if this sets. And if it does, we're going to offer that in the subscription service. Then My Merry Blue. And I'm going to look through these and see here. So I definitely have Schminke on board because Schminke is just wonderful and I love it. And I definitely think that that needs to be part of this subscription service so that you guys can try Schminke because they make the best granulating colors. And I just got in some more Galaxy colors. I got all the Deep Sea, the Glaciers, the Tundras, the Shires, the Volk. All of these are all going to be part of the subscription. So at one time or another, you will get to try all of these amazing colors. Then I have a bunch of Daniel Smith. I still haven't swatched out yet. I have about maybe 25 colors that I'm going to include in here so far. But here's the thing. If there's a color that I don't have that you really, really want, then let me know because I'll just order it and I'll put it in the mix. So that way we can all talk about the really great colors out there and we won't miss anything. I'm hoping that I can set core, but so far I haven't been able to set this in two pans. It's just a little bit too liquidy, you know. I think that obviously Sennelier and Core, their pans are a different formula than their tubes, and it's a shame because I really love their tubes. But when I poured them, so far it's been a couple of weeks and it has not set as well as I would like. Perhaps in winter it's something that it might set a little bit more, like M-Gram hasn't set either. They're still too sticky. So when I touch them, it's just too much. And if it gets really hot in shipping, they would probably melt. So right now I'm not able to get core onto anything, but I might be able to do dot cards with it because I can spread them out, you know. Either way, I will send you samples of what the paints look like though, between M-Gram and Core. So you will get samples of them on watercolor paper so you can see up close what they look like. So isn't this a great idea? We can even swatch Roman Schmal. Now they don't have tubes just yet, but I think a Gallo is getting tubes and they're sending me some watercolor for this. Also included in these things is like every 3 months you're going to get a watercolor brush, a really nice quality watercolor brush, and any of the gifts that the brands send me, because they send me gifts all the time to review on the channel, I am actually going to send those out to my subscribers. So you guys are going to get all kinds of presents in here. Then what happened after that was some of my students asked if I could include some additional watercolors since I'm sending this thing out anyway. And I said yes. So if you want to add to the subscription, I put up a link on the website, jacquelinejax.com, so you can add things right now based on budget. Soon I will have all of these colors represented on the website so you can just pick the colors that you want. And you won't be able to pick them if they don't ship well, you know, or if I don't highly recommend the color, it's not going to be an option. Only if it's a really good color that everybody loves and that I know you won't be disappointed in. I'm only going to do that. And that way, you know, if it's on my website, it's probably a great color that we all love and want to use. A Gallo is sending me 12 more colors, but unfortunately these are still in pans. So the most I can do is make swatch cards for you to see these really, really up close. So that will be also coming, you know, in the weeks as we move through the months. And Mission Gold I can actually swatch. So these will be on dot cards for you to actually experience the paint, and they're so brilliant and so beautiful. I've even made some custom versions of this paint because it's so amazingly transparent and so beautiful. And I think that you'll really enjoy painting with Mission Gold. So that is not only going to be paint that is in these tins if you get like a set, but it's also going to be part of my my custom mixing thing. Is I'll actually use Daniel Smith. Actually, this one, Jack's Violet, is made with Daniel Smith, and that's why, you know, you have these really incredible granulating properties, and we can be assured that the paint is finest grain paint. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm sitting here grinding paint. I'm actually mixing these by buying expensive paint and putting it together to come up with a really, really fabulous new color that we might really enjoy, you know? So I think that that's going to be really fun. I'm excited. So let's get to these. This is My Merry Blue. Like I said, on a future video, I'm going to be swatching out the Azzaro Sketchbooks. Can't wait to try that one. I also have some brand new shades of Mission Gold that just came in, and these are Shadow Green, Marine Blue, Quinacridone Cherry Red, and greenish blue. And I've heard really good things about these colors, so we will get to those in another video and talk about Mission Gold. So that's coming up. I have a bunch of M-gram to swatch out and add to my sketchbook here. So while I'm doing it, I will try and set some of these on dot cards and see if they do well. And if they don't do well, then I will change it into a swatch. And so you'll receive them in the subscription service as a swatch of the colors so that you can just, you know, see a few different colors here and there of different quality. You'll also get swatches of Sennelier. So if it doesn't set again into an actual dot card, then you'll just get a really nice swatch of the color. So somewhere in there, you're going to open something that's really fun every single month and just enjoy getting inspired by new paint. If you're anything like me, that is something I love to do. But I didn't realize there's literally not a designated watercolor subscription service where you can add colors and actually buy things. And these accordion sketchbooks, I actually got help. So I have somebody making a big batch of my accordion sketchbooks so that you can order them. These are made in Fabriano paper. So this is 100% cotton, Fabriano. So if you would like to paint with 100% cotton, you can add a sketchbook to your subscription and receive one every month for just $25. And that's 30 pages front and back. You can actually paint everywhere on these sketchbooks. They're really, really fun. And if you want to, you can add, like you can make your own covers for them. So you could like paint watercolor paper and just, I'll show you how to do it. You just make a cover for your accordion sketchbooks. And then you can like, you know, keep them in themes. You know what I mean? But they're just beautiful. And the paper is just so gorgeous that it breaks my heart that you guys actually can't get this paper. I really did not know that. But anyway, we cured it. So in the subscription service, you will be able to buy the sketchbooks and have them sent to your door at just $25. As long as I can get the paper on the really good deals here. If ever they raise the price of the paper, I'll have to raise the price of the sketchbook. But it is worth it because it's beautiful and it's very, very big. So all right, so we already know we're going to get discounts on everything. If you're a subscriber, you're going to get a shipment every single month, which is going to be really fun and exciting. We're going to talk about it. We're going to paint with it, and I'm going to show you how to use everything. I think that that's, you know, something that's just going to be fun to do. Now, I can't take 37,000 subscribers, obviously. So let's make a deal. If you really want to do this, please sign up this week, because after that, somebody is going to have to drop out, or I'm going to have to hire help in order to fill more orders, because I can only handle so much by myself. And, you know, ultimately I will hire somebody, but I'm going to have to find the right person, right? I did hire somebody to make the sketchbooks though. So that way, at least we're getting those done. Okay, let's look at these colors. Now, if you don't know how to swatch paint, you're going to learn that right now. So let me get out this so that I don't get my pretty little surface dirty, because I don't think I can wipe this off. And we're going to put this on the to-do list. Here we go. I'm trying to think of, I think I can move these, and I think I can put this on here so that, well, actually we can put that there, and this here. Those are the ones I've already done. And I'll just attach this like that. There we go. And we'll swatch that way. Okay, so here's the colors. We have green gold, which actually I've already poured. We have Payne's gray. We have ultramarine blue. And actually this one, the ultramarine blue, is in one of the of these tins. I'm trying to think of which tin it's in. I don't know. I don't think it's in the floral one. I believe it's in the fall one. I'll have to look it up, but I will eventually post a list of what's in the tins so that you can order based on color. But right now they're by theme, so everybody who's ordered, I guess, just trusts me to make the right choice because they don't know the difference anyway, as far as like what paint colors they should choose. And I think that this service kind of takes that out of the mix, right? It like eases the tension of what should I choose. And I think that that has been the number one question that I've gotten on the group page so far is I have no idea where to start, which led me to start a $99 kit. So that is also on my website. And that one is for beginners who don't know where to start. So you get a tin, you get a brush, you get a sketchbook, and you have 12 colors to start with. And literally it's shipped to your door. Free shipping. So, and I think there's actually a water dish in there too, which is pretty cool. And some gifts. So you get like a lot of dot cards and anything that I have on hand. Like right now I have water brushes here. So I will probably be sending out water brushes to the first subscribers. I also have some people that have bought this week. So they're getting a clip, and the clip ties this onto your sketchbook. So it's like a magnetic clip that like attaches it, which is really cool. And then of course every 3 months you're going to get a new brush, which is fun. Yeah, various other things. I'm a very generous person, so I just send everything. Cobalt blue light, turquoise, cobalt. I can't wait to swatch these. Phthalo turquoise, Rose Lake, Quinacridone Lake, which I have swatched because that's actually in the fall set. So if you like those kind of like ruby jewel tones and all the warm, beautiful foliage colors, like the oranges and the reds, then definitely go with the fall set. Cadmium Yellow Deep, that is actually in the fall set. Potter's Pink, I can't wait to try this Potter's Pink because I'm going to mix colors with this Potter's Pink if it's a good one. Right now I use Schmincke's Potter's Pink to mix some of my own granulating colors, and I love it. It's amazing. It's the same thing that you get in the Tundra. The Tundra set it uses Potter's Pink in a lot of the, of these super granulating sets. I think it actually probably is in this one too, because there's anywhere you see like a granulating pink, and sometimes when you see a granulating violet, it will usually be Potter's Pink involved in that one, and either ultramarine or Potter's Pink involved in that. It's a great mixing color. Really beautiful. So, okay, so let's pour and we'll swatch because we already swatched these, although I will glaze these first. So, because we're on this side of it. So starting with green gold, and I just re-poured some of this. So we're going to put it on our brush here. And I noticed that this watercolor that is made in Italy glazes really well. Now, of course, no matter where it's made, if it's a granulating color, it's not going to be something that is necessarily great for glazing. But the ones that are not granulating, if you're into botanicals or you really like the glazing properties of things, then you would want to go with the ones that are non-granulating. So the botanical set is actually a set of beautiful, like my favorite non-granulating floral colors, and you can mix everything in there. So if you're a fan of my artwork and you saw the poppy paintings, those were done with the colors that are in that set. So all of the florals that you see me paint are done with those colors. That's what I've put together so that you can get them. And, rather than sit there and find them online and buy a tube of everything, which is about, $25, $30 per tube, you can get a set of 12 for just over $60, And I feel like that is just such a great way to go, because you try the colors. If you really fall in love with the color, you can either get it through me or, and have it automatically shipped. Or if you can find it cheaper online or something and get free shipping from wherever, then you can order it from Jackson's or wherever you like. But it is available for those people who cannot get this where they are. And I do get that. I see now what the problem is. I really didn't understand it before, but makes sense. So that's the ultramarine blue. I do really like the ultra. It's not heavily granulating for the set. So I think that My Merry Blue makes a good set for all around painting. I do also notice that for beginners, it doesn't run away with you, right? So it spreads evenly. You can glaze with it. You can do a lot of things and build it up. But I noticed it doesn't run away. And I think like things like core, that it really runs away with you, right? Like literally some of those watercolors will push the other watercolors out of the nest, so to speak. So they're kind of like dodo birds, right? They will literally just push the other watercolor out. And that can be really frustrating for a beginner because you're probably not going to be trying to paint that way. Another great comparison to this, to My Merry Blue, these are made in Italy. A comparative would be Sennelier. However, Sennelier are ground on granite, meaning that they are so finely ground that the colors are just dreamy. They're like dreamlike, and they're really heavy honey based. So they really last a long time, and you can build them up with as many as 12 layers. Where here, if you look, there is a little more texture, a little more body and weight to this Italian watercolor, the My Merry Blue. So it's very vivid, but still you can get the lighter versions, a little washed out version. But at the same time, it does have a little more texture than the Sennelier. I think though that Sennelier doesn't have a huge range. They have wonderful reds and pinks, which I will be swatching all out here on the channel, multiple in different ways. But I do think that they do lack a color range, you know. So you can't get everything from them. But I don't think you really want to get every color from every brand, you know. Like I like part of the subscription service that I can see that does offer the value, and what people pointed out to me in doing it was when they were convincing me to do it, was that I have the ability to have been there and done that with all of these colors. So I'm not going to suggest a color that I think is going to give you a hard time. You know, I'm going to note that. And in the subscription service, you would be able to try it out anyway before you spend a lot of money. And I think, you know, the experience is nice, and what time and money it will save you before you make your decision on your palette. I think that's really important. You know, maybe you'll get there. Maybe you'll just get there through me, you know, and I think that that's great. Okay, so there's the glazing on the quinacridone lake, which is really pretty. The green gold is gorgeous. Look how light it goes, like that beautiful light yellow all the way to a green color, right? Green gold. Cadmium yellow. This is a lot creamier and less opaque. Now you see it's actually considered an opaque watercolor. However, unless you go at it with really, really wet paint, it's not going to necessarily be hugely opaque. You see that? Now I'm picking up more and more paint and I'm going over it, but it's really not that opaque. I would say this is more of a semi-opaque color unless you sit there and really work to build it up. And I like that. I actually think this is one of my favorites, and that's why I put it in my palettes, because I know you're going to love painting with it. It's just dreamy. This one is also quite spectacular. It's really a beautiful color, and it does so good in mixes. It's done with PV19, which is a very, very common color, and it can make so many different shades. This makes purples with the ultramarine. You can mix it with cobalt. You can mix it with the gray. You can mix it with just so many things, and you'll get a really, really wonderful experience from it. And then it has like another zone to it. Like I noticed that this particular color can do another thing where it can split, so you can add a ton of water and wash it and create some really interesting like cauliflowers and things for background colors. You can even, as much as it stains, you can even slightly lift it. So if you painted it in the background or used it in a mix, and then you use a brush with like a clean brush and you just go in a circle, you can actually do the bohemian kind of effects with it. So there's a lot of applications for colors like that, you know? And you have to kind of, I don't know, when I recommend colors, I always ask people, let me see what you paint. You know what I mean? Because then I'm like, okay, I see. You know, either you do florals or you do landscapes or something. And that I think really determines the kind of color that you should be choosing and, you know, color range or company. So this is the Rose Lake. And I'm going to pour the first generous portion. So this one is a thick paint. It's not a very thin paint. Some of them, when they come out of the tubes, depending on the brand, can be quite like the more runny than anything else. That doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the paint. That is just the formula of the paint. And you know, just the characteristics of that particular paint. And that doesn't mean it's bad at all. It's actually, you know, doesn't mean anything as far as the paint. The paint is either professional grade paint or not. And when you're dealing with professional grade paint, you're pretty much going to get something great all around. I've never really run into colors that I hate in professional grade paint or that don't perform well, with the exception of if they change their manufacturer, which has recently happened to me with Winsor and Newton. So they've been a little bit disappointing to me, but it's neither here nor there. There's a lot of paint companies. This is really pretty cherry. So there is another couple of cherry paints that I've seen before, and one is by Roman Schmal that I really like because it's kind of like you can put it on really dark, but it never quite goes so dark that it's overwhelming and becomes like a 254 red. It just maintains that kind of like stain, right? Like a stained cherry color. Let's take a look and see what it's like. Rinse my brush out. Okay, so my brush is here. So we're going to start with a nice little light glaze of it. And let's just see what the glaze is like. It's supposed to be a transparent, which I love transparent reds. Oh my goodness. Okay, you know what? This paints like carmine. Oh, that's awesome. So there's one color by White Knight. Oh yeah, White Knight actually is in the subscription too because they dry so well, and there are some gorgeous colors in White Knight. So White Knight has a color called Carmine that I absolutely love. And this paints like that. I don't know what the color, let me see if I can find a tube of it because I'm curious to know what the color is that it's made out of, like what pigment it's made out of. Let's see. So this is the Carmine, and I actually ordered this, so if you can't get this, you will be able to get all the White Knights through me, so you can add them to your subscription in either quarter pans or half pans. Carmine is PR19. This is so it's such a good color. I ordered like 12 of them. I ordered so many of them from my distributor because I love that color, and I can't believe I let myself run out of it. I actually put it into the some of the kits. So yeah. So there went my stash. And I gave people some because it was just so good. So here's Rose Lake. We're going to go and do another one. So this is a pretty, what I have on this brush came right out of the tube. And as you can see, as thick as that paint is, it loves to water down. But look at how pretty the color is. Isn't that beautiful? Let's get a drier brush here, and we're just going to smooth this out. It doesn't overly travel, so meaning that if I add some water, it does not pull too hard. And let me just show you what I mean by pulling. So if we have our sample here, and let's get maybe a color that will pull. I would say these are Sennelier. They don't really pull either. I think M-Gram will probably pull pretty well. So let's get this one. So say we put some color here. Core, of course, is insane. I should probably show you core. So we put some color there. Isn't it a gorgeous color? I love this color. You will get a sample of this color if I can't get it into a dot card and get it to dry. I'm thinking maybe in winter, winter it might work out. I don't know. I'm going to seal it though. If I do, send it. So don't yell at me. All right. So pulling is like that, where you put the water here and you move in towards the color and then it pulls over. Now see how that travels like that? So a color that pulls well and kind of runs away with beginners acts like that. So you could expect it to happen if you miss a mistake and you touch the end of your color when you're trying to define a line, it will pull right into the water. And in order to stop it, you'd have to dry it. So you just take a paper towel and you dry the area really well. And then you can wait and then go back. So that would then mean that if you have a staining color, then that would cause you trouble, right? So like this pulled over into the water, but if I take a clean paper towel and I just work on removing it, it is what it is. Like it's either going to come off or it's not going to come off. This one is kind of like a semi-staining, right? If it were staining, it wouldn't come off at all. And quinacridomes typically are very high staining colors that don't come out. So they're very fun to use in layers because they don't move, right? But this one is like semi-staining, so not too bad. But by drying this area, if I dried it enough, then what would happen is I can go right there and you can see it no longer pulls because I've dried the area, even though I pre-wet it. So that's just a little lesson on colors and what colors do, what watercolors do. See, I can go right over that area and it will remain the defined line. There are a lot of painters that actually you see them hitting their painting with a paper towel or a cloth, and that's what they're doing. They're actually quick drying the area so that they can paint right next to it and actually get that definition. One of the painters that I really love that does this a lot because she paints wet on wet, and she actually paints so wet that the whole thing is wet front and back. So in order to get definition within her painting, you'll see her constantly hitting it, and that is Victoria Proshedko. You should go look her up. I actually wrote a blog on her when I saw a demo and talked all about the colors that she used and everything that goes into what she does, because I really like the way she paints. I think it's interesting for people to see that. Here's Potter's Pink. Are we ready? Are we ready? Let's hope this is a great Potter's Pink, because I'm always looking for a good one. I really like the Roman Schmal Potter's Pink, but I'll tell you, it does have like a filler in it. So it's not really transparent. It's different, but it's so pretty that like it's okay, right? Like it's one of those Potter's Pink that you just paint with anyway. Here, I have a sample. See it? It's so pretty. It is so beautiful. It really is. But there is some kind of a filler because it's not that it gets dusty. It kind of looks vintage. That's what I would say, And of course, they don't come in tubes, so we can't pour nice juicy pans of fresh paint, which I like to do. Now you can see the difference between the thickness of this one and how I would have to actually smooth it out, right? Which is, if you're pouring, you would take a toothpick. I'll show you a quick way to smooth this out if you like things to be more smooth. So you just take a toothpick, dip it in some water, and you're just going to start going in little circles, which also helps to mix the binder a little bit more. And, another reason why I think this subscription service is great is because we're turning over fresh paint quickly. If you ever invest in tubes, here's the one downside to investing in tubes. If you have to pay $30 for paint and you invest in a tube of paint, and then it sits there because you've poured a little bit of it into your pan, but you don't quite paint that fast and you want more colors, it will separate, and just in like 6 months. And then what you think is destroyed, like, oh my God, my paint is separated. And you see all the white goo come out, which is just the binder. You actually have to stir it in the tube. Don't pour it out of the tube and then try to stir it. You'll make a mess. Just stick a toothpick in there and stir when you open a tube that hasn't been opened in a long time. I would also do a test on new tubes, depending on who you buy them from and if they were on sale, because they might have been sitting on a shelf for a while or been exposed to heat or certain conditions that would make them change in consistency a bit. But again, if you mix it up, it should be fine. You just have to mix it up. So you don't ever lose the paint. You just will notice a difference, and it will be really frustrating if it comes out where all of the binder comes out and you haven't, mixed your paint. So that's a good way to start getting that more smooth. I do find though that this particular brand, when the thicker paints dry, they shrink back just a bit, which is perfectly normal, perfectly fine. Daniel Smith's shrink back a whole lot, and I'll show you what that looks like. So having your paint shrink back is not indicative of good or bad paint. It's just a quality of the paint. So these are Daniel Smith. You can see how they're all rocky. It's really, really hard to smooth them out. Like some of them I just can't re-wet, so I shouldn't have let that happen. And every single one of them just shrinks back. So they're very, very difficult to manage, but they do have some colors that are really fun. So I am including the colors in the thing, because as you know, serpentine green, there's like some beautiful like amethyst, there's Primatech colors, and they're just gorgeous. So we don't want to miss out on those colors, but just so you know, the tubes will fall back like that. All right, so let me swatch this one, and then we will move on to another night. What I'll do is, now that I've had a chance to talk to you guys a little bit, I'm going to go and take a break. We'll pour out all the pans, and then I will make a final video for you guys showing you everything, because I don't want to keep you too long. I'm just wanting to do the Potter's Pink right now. Let me see. So it's typical right now. It's typical. It's got that, it pours really lovely into the pan. And then it has almost like that thicker gummy kind of consistency, but you add water and it thins right out and becomes a lovely granulating color. So the thickness has to do with the pigment itself and the combination of the binder with the granulation. What I'm looking for here is when you add water to a granulating color. And by the way, I have a whole granulating sketchbook class. So if you're really into granulation, go take that class. You'll love it. It's so much fun. But when we add water to granulating effects, typically it's going to split whatever's in the paint. And the granulation is going to fall and attach itself to the watercolor paper. So this is a very smooth paper that comes in this sketchbook. If I were using like something with a tooth, you would see a lot more granulation. However, I've been really pretty good at getting granulation to happen, You like the Merry Blue Potter's Pink? Isn't it pretty? Well, I'm going to be putting it in the subscription. So I think you're one of the subscribers, aren't you? I think you are. So you'll be seeing it. It'll be coming out as soon as it dries. We're pouring a paint. I don't know if it's going to be one of the featured paints. I'm not sure yet, because usually it just depends. Maybe we'll have everybody vote for featured paint out of the 6, because I'm going to announce the 6 that are going to be released in that month. And then you can vote for the featured paint, and then I'll surprise you. You'll see it. So it is a gorgeous Potter's Pink. It's really beautiful. Is it better than the Roman Schmal? I think it's different, but very similar, right? I think the Roman Schmal is a little more like kind of a little more wine color, and this one has a nicer like clarity. And compared to the Potter's Pink by Schminke, let's look. Thank God I put labels on this. It's not quite. It's a little more rosy. Like, here's my favorite Potter's Pink. See the Potter's Pink by Schminke? It's so lovely. It's so lovely. Now, you can't tell until they dry. So we'll have to wait until it dries completely for us to really see. But this one has a little bit of a heavier and more rosy look. And I think overall, My Merry Blue, with the exception of this Rose Lake, the PV19 so far, I think it kind of looks like a lot of their colors have, I don't know, I think a lot of their colors look a little more heavy. But isn't it gorgeous though? Now this would make a great mixing color. So if you want to make granulating colors, this is such a heavy granulation that it's got a heavy granulation in the Potter's Pink itself. You could mix it with any quinacridone color and really get a bright granulating version of that color, because it's not a dominant. Like the PR 233 here is just, it's not a dominant. It really won't pull the color off too much. But again, the one that is still my favorite is this Potter's Pink by Schminke, just because it's really a good mixing color. This will not manipulate the color as much, you know, it's very, very gentle. And, you know, look, I mean, it's Schminke. It's, to me, Schminke is like the top of the line, and like, you know, it's very, very difficult to compete with them. But I do like this Potter's Pink though. It's really luscious. It's really beautiful. All right, that's it for tonight, kids. I am going to have to go and take a break, but it's so great to see you, and I thank you so much. And if you're still here, why don't you leave me a comment wherever you are and let me know what you thought of the Potter's Pink so that I know, and I'm going to pick a winner. And if you are one of the subscribers, I'm going to send you something very, very special in your monthly kit. I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.